So, I am a coward. I'm not afraid to admit that. I do not like scary things, which is why it's a little odd that I enjoy watching people play horror games on YouTube. If I have that buffer of somebody talking and joking and reacting to a scary game, then it's easier for me to digest. Plus, I just don't like jump scares. I don't like how they make me feel. That being said, I do like the mascot horror genre. For the most part at least. I know the genre has a pretty awkward reputation for being a bit derivative over the past couple years. Typically, if one game gets extremely popular, then the trend is to create a bunch of copycats to either piggyback off the success of the popular game, or to create shameless ripoffs to presumably try to entice fans of the other games to play their game. Though, to be fair, I've been learning that some of these games are being created by high schoolers, and it's pretty incredible to think that kids have the tools to just teach themselves game design now. That's amazing. I'm always going to be a huge proponent for using fan art and fan creation as a means of expressing creativity and practicing your craft, so yeah. The games might be clones of other games, but it's not hurting anyone, and they're learning a new skill that might serve them well in the future. Good for them. Anyways, like I was saying, I like mascot horror, or I guess I like the concept of mascot horror since I haven't actually played the games. Or, no, I like the mascots of mascot horror. The guys the whole genre is supposed to be about. I love the different animatronics of Five Nights at Freddy's. I love the small, cutesy ink demon Bendy and the giant monstrous version. And the newest bunch of guys I've fallen for are the Care Bear-esque creatures from Poppy Playtime known as the Smiling Critters. For people who aren't aware, here's a very basic synopsis from someone who's only consumed Let's Play and theory crafting videos about it. You're playing as an ex-employee of this old toy company called Playtime Co., and you've been told to come back to the factory to either save other employees or find out the truth of what happened to them. Something like that anyway. You get there and come to find out that all these insane experiments were happening on the premises, like there's an orphanage under the factory and people were experimenting on the kids to basically turn them into living toys for some reason. Look, not all the info's stuck, okay? I'm trying. But also, why is there an orphanage under the factory? Because, I get that it's spooky and weird, but, my suspension of disbelief only goes so far. And you mean to tell me that not a single person in this world questioned why this man built an orphanage under the factory? But long story short, each of the games are a chapter of the story, and each chapter has their own big bad. Chapter 1 has Huggy Wuggy, Chapter 2 has Mommy Longlegs, and Chapter 3 has an antagonist with an actually kinda ominous name, CatNap. And under it all, there's the actual villain that's constantly hinted at, an entity that we only see the hand of, only known as Experiment 1006, or the Prototype. That's all I got for a synopsis. Like I said, I'm trying. Anyways, the Smiling Critters are introduced in Chapter 3 because CatNap was a part of them, and they're cute, but they're creepy, but I love them. The 2D animated versions of them are very adorable, very Care Bears-like, and that was intentional. The toy versions are debatable. I can't see a world where a child would want this thing with soulless eyes and a gaping maw just next to them in bed. That's neither here nor there though. No, what we're here to do today is make fakemon of these guys. Or at least of 2 of them. The original plan was to design all of them for one big video, but between the 2 conventions I was at earlier this month and an ongoing large-scale commission project that I recently got the green light to start working on again, I could not find the time to create 8 new fakemon on top of that while writing a script and editing the audio, editing the video, and creating dex entries, names, and stats for them. So we're only going to focus on the 2 main ones for today, CatNap and DogDay. Why these 2? Because out of all the Smiling Critters, these are the only ones that we really get to know in the games. Not only do they have some kind of connection between their designs, one's a cat, the other's a dog, one is symbolized by the moon and the other's symbol is the sun. These 2 story-wise, and this is going to be a spoiler for people who haven't and want to play the game, so just skip ahead a couple seconds if you don't want to hear it. These 2 have fought, and CatNap came up victorious, and DogDay, well, yeah. I figured it'd be kind of fun to try to make fakemon out of the Smiling Critters. They're already based on animals, and CatNap and DogDay aside, Each critter does have a written bio where you can get an idea of what their personality could be. So perhaps I'll do the other 6 in the future, but for now, let's just focus on these 2. Starting with DogDay. Originally, I thought of starting with CatNap, but I know me, and the one I'm gonna probably spend the most time on is CatNap, so we'll cover him last. Okay, so adding this part into the script after the fact, but no, DogDay took so much more time. This one was so much harder to do, and I don't know why I thought it'd be quicker to do. DogDay is a bit tricky. We get a bit of his personality through his cutscene and the written bio, but he's not really all that prevalent of a character. We get him in the one scene and that's it. That's the introduction to DogDay. According to his little character bio, he's basically the leader of the Smiling Critters and he's the stereotype of a dog. Energetic, optimistic, encouraging, and friendly. From what we get from his dialogue, he, along with the rest of the Smiling Critters, fought CatNap and he's the last one left. There's no sense in trying to work his defeat into the design. That would be extremely morbid and I'm not doing that. So I think focusing on the characteristics that I do know about him will be the way to go, turning that willingness to fight CatNap into determination. And this is where I'm going to break from the idea of keeping the Smiling Critters as literal smiling critters. Originally the plan was to keep the wide open mouths as part of their design, but I don't want to do that. It limits what I can do expression-wise with a still image. If I were animating them, then that's a different story. I think you can really portray their emotions well enough if I could capture little movements and changes in body language, but I'm just making still images. For now. The only one I want to keep the wide grin for is CatNap, so you'll see that later, but I really want the rest of the critters to show an emotion other than happy or trying to be cool. I want DogDay to be determined and ready to fight and defend. He's a leader who I presume took charge in rebelling against CatNap, and I want to capture that energy. I mean, at this point in the script, I haven't actually started sketching him. This is me just speculating about what I want to do. I'm actually working on CatNap's design at this point, and that's mostly done, well, completely done. Realistically, it probably would have made more sense to talk about him first, but I just didn't want to. This will all come together in post anyways. Going into this, the design traits I know I want this design to have are to keep this asymmetrical face markings, the lop ears, and color scheme, though it'll probably get a bit muted to sort of match the Pokemon aesthetic. I also wanted to fit in the sun motif somewhere, but that didn't really work out. Originally I was planning on making him a fire type because of it, but I don't really think that fits DogDay all that much. I even sketched him with flames for a second, but I just don't think the fire type works with what I want to do, is what I would have originally said, until an absolute flash of inspiration struck while I was trying to create his name. See, while I knew that the phrase Dog Days of Summer was a thing, I'd forgotten what it really meant. It's not something I really say at all, so I forgot that it's a phrase used to indicate extremely hot, sweltering temperatures. So of course the fire type works. But a fighting type also fits, and this is where I have to break from the original idea that I wanted for the Smiling Critters fakemon. I wanted them to all share a subtyping, and if I give fire fighting to DogDay, well, I don't think either of those types really fit with the rest of the crew. So instead they'll all have some anatomy or design traits that link each other to each other, but otherwise they'll have their own separate types. With that, the idea started to come together. I didn't really have to fix anything with the art aside from a few colors. The scarring still works, the colors still work, and now he's got a name, so say hello to Hercules, from Heretic, Canicule, which I'm sure I'm probably pronouncing wrong since I don't really know French, but it's referring to a heat wave, and altogether it sounds like Hercules, the Roman god of strength and a protector. Originally, I was gonna say that I wasn't fond of this design at all, but after coming up with the name and fixing the typing, it all came together. It's not 100% the way I would have envisioned it, but he still looks great and better than I thought he would. I still like him. Sometimes you gotta trust the process, you know? I mean, I'm generally bad at that, but it ended up working out in the end. Now, on to the next design. CatNap was absolutely the easiest of these to tackle, and not just because I edited this part of the sentence after I was finished with his design, but currently as I'm writing this part of the script, he's given me some trouble. I have this vague idea of what I want to do with him. There's a part of his design that I want to keep the same, I want to let him keep his thin, emaciated looking body, his long lanky limbs, and his piercing white irises, and I want him to still have a grin. But I want to make it more Cheshire Cat-like. But I also want to incorporate the moon shape somewhere in there, but I'm not sure where yet though. At this point in the sketch, I'm more trying to come up with the silhouette and work backwards from there. The one thing I think is the strongest about any Pokemon design is the silhouette. For the most part, you can tell which Pokemon is which by that alone, so coming up with the basic shapes that build up the form can kind of help me figure out both what I want to do with the design as a whole and what I want to do with the pose. Like, at some points I tried using the moon for the head shape, and while it could technically work, I don't hate it, but he looks way closer to a bendy and that isn't what I'm going for at all, so I don't think I'm gonna do that. But a thought came to me while writing this that maybe I'm going too literal. Like, yeah, of course I'm gonna make CatNap literally a purple cat Pokemon, but like, I've gotta find ways to make him distinguished from the actual character design of CatNap. So I'll just use this part of the script to sort of think out loud before taking another stab at sketching him, and I'll leave all this in the script because who's gonna stop me? I mean, literally, I started writing notes on one of the layers to just sort of figure out what it is I wanted to do here. Did it help? Who knows, but I did it. I can use the color and vague body shape of actual CatNap while taking some inspiration from things like Cheshire Cats and Buckanickle for other design elements. And I can reference actual Pokemon like Midnight Lycanroc for the sort of long limb stance I want him to have. There's not really any cat Pokemon that have the design elements I want to mimic, so this will be some kind of hodgepodge of CatNap's design being forced into a relatively Pokemon-like shape, or like Pokemon adjacent shape-ish. Like, I'm working with something in between the plush form and the monster form, so he's not cute and cuddly, but you can kind of see where he could be. Or at least I can. And you know what? That's what matters here. I'm making the design to appease me. And after some time, here's Grimmelkip, a dark poison type. The name comes from Grimace, Grimalkin, which I learned looking up synonyms for cat, and I completely changed the trajectory of this name so I could use this word somehow, and Kip, which I learned was possibly British slang for a nap. It all came together in the end. The other name choice was Drowseline, which isn't bad, but like, it was just a fancier way of saying catnap, and I don't know. Grimmelkip feels like it fits better. The typing was the first thing I came up with. It seems so obvious that any fakemon based on CatNap would be a dark poison type. Like, his whole thing is that his toy was recalled because the company accidentally placed the wrong scent into the toy. Oh yeah, the smiling critters are all supposed to be some kind of aromatherapy toy for kids, I guess, and CatNap's scent is supposed to be lavender. But the substance that is placed in, while it does put people to sleep, can cause severe nightmares, sickness, and hallucinations. It poisons people. I suppose that a pure poison type would work too, but I don't know. Dark poison is great typing. Lots of cool Pokemon have it. Drapion, Alolan Muk, Skuntank. Okay, so like, on their own, none of these guys are like cool per se, but like, I play a lot of Go Battle League in Pokemon Go, and these guys are all monsters, so I have a lot of appreciation for them. Now I know jack all about Pokemon base stats, so numbers wise, these are all kind of made up and the points don't matter, but basing him off of CatNap and how he moves in the game, speed stat is definitely the lowest. I figure he's kind of specially bulky and kind of has a decent special attack stat, but he'd probably be your defensive setup mon, you know? And I'm gonna give him a kinda OP signature move that I'm calling Red Smoke because that's what Poppy Playtime calls it, and names are not my forte. But Red Smoke is a poison type status move that can cause one of 3 types of ailments. It can either cause sleep poisoning, or probably the worst in my opinion, severe confusion. And yeah, I know that being badly confused or whatever isn't an actual thing in the games, but could you imagine if it was? Like, my god, being confused is bad enough as it is. Give it an even higher chance that you can't land a hit and it'd be awful. And this is why I'm not gonna make a Pokemon game anytime soon. It'd be the most unbalanced mess of a game you could imagine, because I love me some overpowered mons. Also, before I forget, the shiny colors. Those are based off of the very awkwardly designed Nightmare Hallucination CatNap, where he's all monochromatic. And I was writing most of the script before the art was finished, so believe me when I say this all came together in the end, cause with just the flat colors done, I wasn't so sure this was gonna look good, but after the shading and rendering and textures, he looks so good. Man, the actual process of creation is not one of my favorite things, but when I tell you the end result can be worth it, yeah, Grimmelkip looks amazing. I love him so much, and the shiny is a lot. Like, it's a lot. It doesn't really fit in with the Pokemon aesthetic because he's all just monochrome, but like I couldn't resist it. The idea was right there with the Nightmare CatNap. Like, I didn't have to randomly make up a color palette like I had to for DogDay. The shiny created itself. And so there we have it. Which of these designs do you like more? And would you like me to draw the rest of the smiling critters as Pokemon? Please leave a comment letting me know what you think. And if you'd like to see that potential video that I totally don't already vaguely have planned as my May video, then hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when it comes out. And also follow me on my other socials. I'm particularly active on Blue Sky and Instagram and post art and progress shots there. And if you'd like to support my art in some other way, please check out my Ko-fi. I don't have any subscription tiers or anything, but like if you like to support my art, anything helps. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next month with another video.